boogeyman is real, and you found him.
All right, you primitive screwheads, listen up.
What's blood for, if not for shedding?
I'm your number one fan.
I like to dissect girls. Did you know I'm utterly insane?
We all go a little mad sometimes.
Be afraid. Be very afraid.
7 days.
I am Dracula.
We have such sights to show you. Boy!
I said, I'm not gonna hurt you. I'm just gonna bash your brains.
I am the eater of worlds and of children.
What's in the fucking box?
They're coming to get you, Barbara.
One by one, we will take you.
Never get out of bed again!
You gotta be fucking kidding.
It rubs the lotion on its skin or else it gets the hose again.
Welcome to prime time, bitch!
Welcome, horror fans. It is Wednesday, 7 p.m. Central Time, and it's time for another episode of the Weekend Horror Podcast, the podcast favored by anyone currently being hunted in the Australian outback. And if you, dear horror fanatic, are listening to us at the top of the week, remember we do this live every preceding Wednesday right here on YouTube. So we hope to see you in the live chat. Come and hang out with us. This week, we are looking back at select horror films released June 23rd through June 29th. Thank you all so much for joining us for what will surely be a bloody good time. I am your host, JL, and it looks like I am holding down the fort tonight, so I hope to give you the best show that I possibly can. You know how these things are kind of wild, but I'm glad that you're here. Thank you so much for joining me. Oh, man. It's been a bit of a wild week. It's been kind of crazy behind the scenes, just kind of stuff all over the place, but that is kind of the nature of the business. So, but first and foremost, before we dive into anything, we want to make sure we put up that Patreon banner. There's all those amazing individuals down there who helped to make this show possible. You know, we couldn't do this without your support. We've been going, we're coming in like on the conclusion in here in a few weeks. And just like, I think it's like less than 3 months. We're coming in on the conclusion of season 5 of 5 seasons of Weekend Horror. So 5 years of Weekend Horror. That's 52 episodes a season. You know, every single year. We haven't missed one yet. So it's wild that that we've been going this long and this strong, but we wouldn't be able to do it without all those people down there, and all of their constant support. So some of them, having supported us from the very, very beginning. So we do appreciate that, y'all. You guys rock. Let's see. Who do we have in the scary, scary live chat tonight? I see B. Blanco, who was the first one here. Says now I see if he can make it on time. That would be awesome. Yes, it would be, Blanco, but thank you so much for being here. Castellar Daniel Garcia is here, good as well. Says, we're going to talk about that. Black Phone getting a sequel. This is kind of interesting, but we're going to dive into that. Casey Cooper, good to see you. Thanks so much for being here tonight. Raven Darkstar as well, good to see you. Casey Cooper says, with the new trends in horror like Winnie the Pooh, I'm waiting for a Muppet slasher with either Kermit developing a taste for bacon or Miss Piggy a taste for frog's legs. Swedish Chef in either case. So obviously the question would be like, if there is stuff moving into the public domain that you would like to see horror movies made of, made out of, then, what IP would you be most interested in? Because there are many things moving into the public domain. Old Disney stuff, some of the old children's stuff, like, could you imagine like a horror movie, something out of Beatrix Potter or something like that? It would be fucking hilarious. So, but let us know down in the comments below, weekinhorror@gmail.com. If there's an IP that you would dig being made into a horror film that's gone into the public domain, I think that would be really, really interesting. And Casey Cooper has also been a member of the Army of the Dead for 11 months. Thank you so much, Casey. You rock, sir. We do appreciate all that support. Rodent No Last Name is here. It says Gabba Gabba to you. It says, if possession is 9/10 of the law, can a demon sue for being exorcised? And I see exorcised, and so likely yes, because if they were possessing a really, really big, big fat person, then that would be forced labor. But if you mean exorcised, I see the joke there, but I had to play off the spelling, so I really did. But thank you for being here, Rodent. I do appreciate it. Travis Brown as well. Good to see you. Appreciate it. It says, evening, y'all. Just watched the Dark Power Rift Tracks version, and teens battling Teenage Mutant Aztec Warriors is funny as hell. Yes, it is. Very, very funny. Glad to see you, bud. Left-handed Jedi as well. Good to see you. Thanks so much for hanging out with us. Oh, Case Cooper says, sorry, my cat was interfering with my typing. That's what they do, right? That's what they do. Oh, let me see. Who else do we have in the live chat? Dib's here hanging out. Good to see you, Dib. who has got lurk mode engaged. Appreciate it. We always appreciate our stalkers. You rock. Angel Rivera as well coming to us says, will the rooster crow or will it be dinner? Likely he's probably, taking care of the kids right now because he's got a bunch of them. He's got kids. Aaron's got kids. I know Johnny messaged me and said that Erica has apparently come down with COVID again. So, oof. So he's probably taking care of the kids while she's resting up. Lots of fluids, plenty of rest, because, it's still out. The log allergy is still out there. So, take care of yourself. And all the best to Erica. Hope she feels better soon. Let's see. Sarcasm's here. It says, good evening, fellow monsters. Good to see you, Sarcasm. Appreciate you hanging out, bud. You rock. Charlie Welch, the only man on the internet never make a bet with. Good to see you, Welchy. Always good to see you hanging out in the chat. Casey Cooper says, you are not alone, JL. We are here with you. I do appreciate that. The minions of the army of the dead. I do appreciate y'all hanging out with me. So, you each and every single one of you just makes the show amazing. And your interactions, or otherwise I would just be like talking into the void, putting my little like commentary on horror films out there on the internet for everybody to see, or people to randomly come across. Omni Orosboros, good to see you. Says hello, everybody. Good to see you, Omni. Appreciate you being here. Tesla Radio is back. Good to see you, Tesla. It's been a minute. I'm glad you're doing well. Thanks so much for hanging out. Omni Orosboros says, JL could be a killer Muppet. I probably could be a killer Muppet. You can see my beard like flapping around when they're making me talk. Just like that. I think that would be funny. But yeah. I think I'd make a killer Muppet. There's B Blanco. He's back. Good to see you, B Blanco. Sarcasm says Fantasia would make an amazing horror movie. That would be wild. A Muppets Creep Show would be pretty cool. That would be pretty sick. Mary Poppins is a serial killer. I love that, Raven Darkstar. I do. I love that. We got to find out when that enters the public domain. Travis Brown says, got the zombie virus, so Johnny O has to make a choice. It's always rough. It's tough. But yeah. I hope y'all are doing fantastic tonight. See all those amazing people in the chat. Minions, I'm a Cenobite captain. Oh, yes. You got it. You got it. That is your rank, Sarcasm. Cenobite captain. There should be like levels. If we actually had like tiers beyond that, there should be like, ranks like that in different monsters. Or maybe it'd be like slasher, possessor, shit like that. So, but something to think of. But thank you all so much for being here tonight. This is going to be really good. We got some interesting movies to talk about. Some fascinating ones. Some that are a few that I think a couple that I think are really, really good. And one is just like so weird. And so I apologize again to anybody out there. If you follow along, you try to watch the movies that we are going to talk about beforehand. Some of them are really, really obscure. Like really hard to find. Like last week we talked about The Mutilation Man. That movie was damn near impossible to find. Like I myself had to drop $35 on a special edition DVD online to pick up a copy. We have one this week, which was a South Korean vampire film, South Korean Dracula film from the 80s. That was like the only way I found it. It was wild. I had to find a dude who commented on a thread, mentioned it was in a Discord. I commented on that. Got in touch with him. He's put me in touch with the guy who owns the Discord. I went to the Discord and was able to watch it that way. So, sometimes the lengths I go to find some of these movies is just wild. But sometimes they're just not readily available. So I do apologize for that. But I try to dive into them as best I can, given what I've seen. And it's a really fascinating film. It really is. Cindy Johnson, good to see you. Thanks so much for hanging out tonight. Travis Brown says, I can say obscure. IMDb does not have one of the films. So, possible. All of these were on there. So, but anyway. Yes, Joshua Lee, good to see you. Says, it is Wednesday, my dudes. It is Wednesday. It's time for Week in Horror. Absolutely. Let's see. Trek Yards did rank and ship tiers for patrons. Nice. Very cool. I get that. Rank and ship tiers. Very cool. All right. So, it's something along those lines if we decide to expand out in that direction. John Monahan is here. Says, what's up, scary people? Good to see you, John. Appreciate you hanging out. It's always good to see the familiar faces. So, they didn't really have anything in kind of like the last current week. I mean, there was some like stuff about there's a new Kit Harington. Kit Harington was Jon Snow in Game of Thrones. He has a horror movie coming out where he plays a werewolf. It's called The Beast Within. It is not a remake of the 1980s Beast Within, which is completely different. This one is basically just about a werewolf family, or I guess whatever. But he's got that one coming out here coming out here pretty soon. Longlegs is scheduled to come out pretty quick. They just announced They Follow, which is a sequel to It Follows. Micah Monroe says it's going to be absolutely fucking insane. So I'm looking forward to that. That should be really, really good. Yeah, Dracula Rises from a Coffin. Or I think the other name of that was I don't obviously this is Korean. This is Korean, but Kwansuki Dracula. I'm not sure, but Kwansuki, I don't know how to pronounce it. But it's under that one as well. So KWANSUKUI Dracula. Which I think roughly translates to like Dracula Rises from a Coffin or Dracula in a Coffin is what it kind of translates to. We got the trailer for Smile 2. Smile 2 dropped. I didn't have enough time to grab it and put it into the Terror Tube, but we may take a look at that next week. But yeah, I got the trailer for Smile 2, which is interesting. And Josh Willy says, did you see where that A24 has a video game studio? Yes. A24, Blumhouse, and a number of other production companies are definitely expanding out into multimedia and doing not only comic book runs, like limited comic book runs, but also video games as well. And I see they're doing that. So, Sarcasm says, I finally got to see stop motion today. That is a freaky ass film, brutal film, really, really enjoyable. Very, very just visually creepy. Takes me back to like Tools band Einema, the Einema albums, the music videos out of that. So really, really good stuff. The stop motion was good. Freaky movie. But yeah, interesting stuff out there. But, what can you say? I mean, if there's anything big that really, really kind of drops, see, Smile 2, I saw it and I probably could have pushed it. I didn't really have time. I probably could have pushed it to get it into the Terror Tube, but I just really, something about it just really kind of didn't speak to me. It's weird that the trailer for Smile 2 didn't speak to me. But the trailer for Trap spoke to me, which is an M. Night Shyamalan Ding Dong film. And because I really enjoyed that trailer, but we haven't watched it. Because that one looks like to be more like a thriller, where Josh Hartnett is apparently apparently playing a serial killer who is taking his daughter to a great relationship with his daughter and is taking her to see a concert, but apparently the concert is all completely set up and fake in order to trap the serial killer, so they can catch him when he tries to leave. So yeah, which looks fascinating to me. That looks like a fascinating premise. But then again, it's Shyamalan Ding Dong. So the question is, what will the twist be? If there even is one, which it's like I have no idea. But I love his premises. The premises of his films are always kind of get me. But he always winds up cutting his legs out from underneath himself by trying to do the big explosive twist for the audience, which it just doesn't work. Not since Sixth Sense. Not since then. The other one that kind of was awesome was Unbreakable. Unbreakable was cool. But this was back when Shyamalan was like, was kind of like the hotness. Nowadays, nah. With a supernatural twist. What a twist. Dylan Prell, good to see you. Thanks so much for hanging out tonight. I do appreciate that. Love seeing you there in the chat. All right. So, like I said, there's some stuff out there that's coming down the pipe. Nothing really major that's caught our eye, but you can definitely see that if big things come down the horror news pipeline, we will always try to let y'all know about them there. And you can always catch it here. We'll basically grab them when we find them, and we'll just kind of talk about them here in this week. And definitely let us know in the comments below if you're looking forward to the Smile trailer, or sorry, the Smile 2. If you're looking forward to the sequel to Smile, I don't know, 50-50 I am. But if you're looking forward to the sequel to Smile, I enjoyed the first one. I did. I fucking loved the short film. The short film that the feature was adapted from was amazing. That short was fantastic. And then the whole sequence where the girl goes in is talking to Kevin Bacon's daughter, and the sequence where she is they're having the therapy session, and then she winds up unaliving herself. That whole sequence was basically a truncated version of the short film itself with the same actress. So definitely check that out. And they used the sequence when the therapist shows up and is talking to her, and she does the smiling on the couch thing. They kind of took elements of that. So elements of the short film made it into the feature, but the whole opening sequence when she's in there and the thing kicks off to the curse kicks off to the character, the demon jumps. That's all in the short film, which is really cool. The cinematography in it was amazing. The special effects were great. So really, really cool stuff. But yeah, I don't know if I don't, given how they ended the first film, with the one of my favorite underrated actors, Kyle Gallner, being there and seeing what happened to his girlfriend. I don't know if I'm looking forward to it, but I'll definitely see it. I will. So, all right, let me see. Josh Lee says the smile monster was kind of laughable in my opinion. Just lots of mouths that are smiling. It's creepy. The monster. I tell you what, as far as monsters go, the monsters in the new Nick Cage film Arcadia are fucking crazy. Okay? And apparently the director stated that the monsters that he wanted in that movie are like, he calls them essentially hell's version of Goofy. So it's like, like this nightmare hellish, like this hellish fifth circle of hell version of Goofy, like Mickey Mouse's friend. And so it's just absolutely insane. And apparently they're like these bug, ape, horse, hybrid whatevers. I don't freaking know. But I've seen clips of them. I haven't watched Arcadia yet, but I've seen clips of them and they are freaking absurd. Just gross and just nasty. But yeah. True Travis Brown. The smile monster reveal was creepy as hell. It was very creepy. Just when we finally get to see what it actually is. All right. Who to make sure we didn't miss anybody? I see Cindy Sue is here. Good to see you, Cindy Sue. Cherry Tilly as well. Good to see you. Thanks so much for hanging out tonight. I do appreciate it. I think I got everybody. I think everybody's there. So, what do you say we dive into tonight's selection? Let's see. Oh, wait. So the smile monster is a gibbering mouther. Pretty much. Multiple mouths. It was like the opening deal. It was just like mouth. Just all smiles. It smiles all the way down. You could tell. It was a freaky look one. Skinless, demon looking thing. And then it like opened, then it paralyzes you. It was like, I hypnotized you. And then like crawls in your mouth. That was a pretty freaky sequence. But, even though I enjoyed it, it was the cinematography that sold me on that film. I just loved the sequences. I love how they shot things and framed things. And I loved, the lead actress's performance. It kind of pretty much followed the same formula as It Follows, where you just can't escape. It was kind of like It Follows meets The Ring, in that sense. There's two commonalities there. But what are you gonna do? You do what you can with what you got to work with. Left-handed is a happy Shoggoth. Yes. Always keep your Shoggoths happy. Always keep them happy. All right. But I think it is time to dive in to the selections that we have tonight. So, the first film that we are going to dive into, and probably, I would say, the best on tonight's list of selections, released June 24th, 2022, and we have The Black Phone. I've been looking forward to talk about this one. Let's check it out. Let's cue up the terror tube. Ouch.
Well, let me see if I can take care of this for you, sweetheart. Yeah, I think I have something. Just the right thing. Oh, yeah! You put your right foot in, you take your right foot out, you do the hokey pokey, and you fucking work it all out! Please don't kill me. Please don't kill me.
I'll be home in the morning.
Where are you going?
I'm staying over at Susie's tonight.
What's new? The flyer.
The papers call him the grabber.
I wish you wouldn't call him that.
You don't actually believe that story, do you? Because he can't hear you, and he doesn't really take kids that safe.
Oh! You goof. Well, isn't that just peachy keen?
You need some help?
You see that?
Yeah.
Would you hand me my hat? Yes, sir. I am a part-time magician.
Are those black balloons in there?
Would you like to see a magic trick?
I have an announcement to make. One of our students, Finney Blake, was abducted.
What if I could help the police find Benny?
Doesn't work. Not since I was a kid.
I'll scream. I'll scratch your face.
This face?
Daddy, I had a dream about it.
What happened in your dream?
He was taken.
By a man with black balloons?
Yes.
We never released those details.
Hello?
Don't hang up.
Who are you?
You know all our names?
You're getting out of here.
Please, please let the dreams be real.
See the wall in front of you? I tore a long cable loose from down there.
There's a combination lock on the inside of the storm door.
What's the combination?
I carved it in the wall.
Hang up the phone! Now!
The tree, the door, the gate. I'd never seen it before except in my dreams.
You don't have much time.
You're gonna use a weapon. You raise the phone, step back, and swing.
Look what you made me do.
Please hurry!
You remember what I told you?
There's someday I have to stand up for myself.
Someday is today, Finn.
Yes, that was the trailer for The Black Phone. Freaking amazing. So, directed by Scott Derrickson, written by Joe Hill, Scott Derrickson, and C. Robert Cargill, starring Mason Thames, Madeline McGraw, and Ethan Hawke in one hell of a performance, as well as favorites Jeremy Davies, E. Roger Mitchell, Troy Rudessel, James Ransone, and Miguel Mora. Miguel Mora kicked ass. It was like. So the film itself, those who have not watched it, the film is after being abducted and locked in a basement, a young boy named Finney starts receiving calls on a disconnected rotary phone that is located in the basement from the killer's previous victims, who seek to aid him in his efforts to survive his abductor. The film the film itself. I mean, like I said, there's many people have said in the live chat that this is probably the best on the list, and it absolutely is. We are still under the 5-year moratorium, so this is not until 2026 is when we can actually when we don't have to worry about spoilers anymore. So I'm not going to spoil anything about this film, but for anybody who has not seen it, this one is an absolute treat. For those who may not have been grabbed by the trailer, by the grabber, get that? Yes, I like how I did that. But if you enjoy anything Stephen King, especially Stephen King stuff when like his stuff set in the 70s or his period pieces, 70s, 80s, and like that nature, stuff centering around intelligent kids who can think for themselves, kids that, all of that is there. Okay, so the Stephen King, obviously Joe Hill being Stephen King's son, there is a lot of cross pollination when it comes to Joe Hill's work. You saw this again in The Tall Grass. You could definitely feel. I was not grabbed by your pun, Jail. Sorry about that. But if you enjoy that kind of stuff, if you enjoy the works of like Mike Flanagan, then you will definitely enjoy The Black Phone. The pedigrees that went into this movie are absolutely phenomenal. Blumhouse was behind it. This is one of those ones where we've all often said, when Blumhouse hits. When they miss, they miss. But when they hit, they really fucking hit. And this was that we're talking about Jason Blum being behind production on this. Scott Derrickson directing. His direction is absolutely effortless. And I don't even think that Scott Derrickson would have needed to even really struggle that much, given the talent that he was working with, because he's the mind behind Sinister was magnificent, also Ethan Hawke, and of course he directed Doctor Strange and The Exorcism of Emily Rose. So given the talent that he has had access to and the people that he's worked with, I have no doubt that this was likely an effortless direction or an effortless job for him. fantastic source material. Joe Hill's content is magnificent. Derrickson also added in his own input, and with his working with similar themed films like Sinister, this plays really well. So there's a lot of, you can see a lot of connective tissue between the two as far as themes go, but in the vein of Stephen King. And I will love anything that is in the vein of Stephen King and, and even Steven Spielberg to a degree. Because there's even Poltergeist vibes to this. There's Poltergeist vibes to it. There's, I couldn't even touch on the number of, obviously there's going to be some It feel to it. Obviously, I would say that, when Madeline McGraw's character is riding her bike down the street in the rain and the yellow rain slicker, that's obviously an homage. I mean, I don't think I have to point that out to anybody, but everything fires. The never once is a ball dropped in this. Ethan Hawke brings a level of malice, and this is what's wild. Ethan Hawke brings not only a level of malice that is rarely seen in his performances, but he combines that malice with a level of vulnerable empathy that makes his character oddly sympathetic in a certain way. And there are certain choices that are made in the way that it is shot, in the way that things are filmed, and of course, that lend itself to each one of the characters' strengths and exposing in the environments their weaknesses as well. Now, this is an interesting thing because Dylan Prell says, I dug the late 70s feel. It's brilliant shit. But the supernatural aspect had me confused. Why keep a phone down there? Was the grabber oblivious to the spirits of his victims, or was he aware of them? So the general consensus is, even though they never really state it, and it's kind of ambiguous to that, is that the grabber is aware of what's going on, but he denies it. So, and that's one of the big things in this is denial and trauma. Or actually, I would say in reverse order. One of the giant themes of this is trauma and the denial of that trauma. For this, because healing is hard, and that's one of the things you see reflected in the relationship, in the brilliant relationship, and I would say traumatizing, because Jeremy Davies is the perfect dad in this particular scenario. The dad who's been pushed to his last rope. He's barely hanging on by a thread. You can tell he absolutely loves his kids. Brilliantly written and so subtle. But because of the struggles with his wife, with his wife who's out of the picture, who obviously had the powers that his daughter inherited from, that his daughter, because the daughter's talking about the dreams that she had. Those sequences are heavily traumatic to him because the trauma of losing his wife and what she went through and the effect that her abilities had on their social standing in the town, how everybody looked at her and what that conveyed about their family, obviously was devastating to him. And then like King would often talk about in his earlier days, when King was suffering from alcohol addiction, that he didn't like who he was. He didn't, that wasn't him. That was him under the effects. And we see that very, very much. A very loving and very dedicated, very devoted father who is unfortunately struggling with his own demons and is unable to get past them for the sake of his children. But when his children are endangered, he can rise to the challenge. And then everything just comes together beautifully. The pacing is absolutely stunning. And I would say and it cleans up. It cleans up brilliantly. It really, really does. So it's a absolutely brilliant little creep fest with some fantastic supernatural elements in there and some fantastic realism elements in there. But the thing that gets me is Mason Thames was amazing. Mason Thames as Finney was absolutely fantastic. I thought he was brilliant in his portrayal. And Madeline McGraw as Gwen who's also magnificent as well. Madeline McGraw, her sequence, and I don't want to spoil it, but she has a sequence when the detectives come to interview her. They pull her out of class to interview her because apparently they get wind that she was talking about elements of the case that she could not possibly have known because she dreamed them. And so they're going to put her in the hot seat, and she does not take well to that at all. And it is a wonderful little sequence. And I have to admit, some of the violence in this, the kid-on-kid violence, is pretty hardcore. It's like no joke. But then again, it was a different time. Boys will be boys. They sometimes they need to fight it out. Bullies need to be put in their place, and really fantastic shit. So It's going to hit you on an emotional level. There is some dark elements as far as trauma goes that I think will resonate with a lot of people, especially at the time period as well, because for those of us who grew up in that time period, it was different. Things were handled differently. They're not like they are today. So, and not to mention, we have to give a shout out to Tom Savini's work. The mask that was developed for this, which was a 4-piece mask. You had the top with the horns, and you had the 3 different faces. Which obviously, when you pair those with the dialogue, with the brilliant dialogue in this film, not a moment is wasted. There's nothing hackneyed, nothing cliche, nothing. There's no weak writing here at all. Every little bit lends itself to some level of insight into the characters, and it's like every sequence is a puzzle. Every sequence is a puzzle where you have to see, you find the pieces, and when you put the pieces together, you're able to sequence information and insight into each one of the scenes that lends further credibility to what's going to happen in the rest of the film. You can actually watch this one of 2 ways, which is brilliant as far as direction and editing and pacing goes. But the cinematography allows for this, and the set design, everything, all the setup is that you get little bits and pieces, and you can watch it from a surface level. Just watch it for what it is, for the horror and the performance. But when you really start digging into it, the film just gets deeper and deeper and deeper. And it leaves these wonderfully delicious little threads, that we just want to pull at and find out where those go, to figure out what unravels when we explore these things, these concepts that are these wonderful concepts that you don't feel bad that they were left on the table, but obviously is the primary reason why we are getting a sequel. Yes. So a sequel was announced for this. Black Phone 2, Blumhouse producing, and apparently everybody is returning. So except for obviously except for who. I'm not going to spoil it, but everyone is returning. Everyone is signed on for it. Everybody's aware of it. It's been announced. Ethan Hawke is returning for it. The question is, I have no idea how that's going to play out, and I do not know to what level of involvement Joe Hill is involved, because it was Joe Hill's script or Joe Hill's his story and his script that really makes this thing sing. The dialogue speaks to me, the word choices are absolutely sublime. I will actually hazard that Joe Hill can do one thing that his father can do, one thing better than his father can. And Stephen King, I'm just end all be all Stephen King. Love Stephen King. But Stephen King paints a picture brilliantly well. He sets the stage with magnificent detail to the point that it just makes this image in your mind, which is just brilliant. That's what I love Stephen King for, is that he creates the world and then looses these brilliant little characters into them, and it sets the monsters loose on them, and it's just amazing. But Joe Hill has a mastery of dialogue between individuals, writing from those individuals' perspectives, their unique perspectives, but never forgetting that there are threads that connect them. So, and all those threads are different depending upon who is talking to who. So he never forgets that. And that allows us as the audience to really attach to these brilliant little characters that he has created. Whether it's the dad, it's Jeremy Davies in a supporting role, whether it's the kids, any of the kids, whether it's Ethan Hawke, like the guy who plays his brother, even the cops themselves, every little detail plays into this so brilliantly. And I absolutely loved it. I could actually see this movie being, given that it was, given who it was directed by, given that it was Derrickson, I could actually see this being in the same universe as Sinister. I could see that. But, I'm really looking forward to seeing what goes now, what comes next. I am, despite the fact I don't know. And apparently it's not a prequel. It's not a prequel. It's a direct sequel to the events of this one. So I do not know what's going to come of that. It's going to be really, really interesting. So I thought King lives in Bangor, Maine. I'm pretty sure. Correct me if I'm wrong. If I have any Maine residents here in the chat, but I'm pretty sure that King lives in Bangor with Tabitha, with his wife Tabitha, because Derry's fictional. Derry's a fictional, one of his fictional tales, like Castle Rock. So I'm pretty sure. Yeah, if I remember my Stephen King universe correctly, Derry and Castle Rock were both fictional towns that are referenced constantly in there. But there's a lot of real places that are referenced in the Stephen King universe as well. But Bangor, Maine, I think, is where he lives. So correct me if I'm wrong, though. He could, I mean, maybe Bangor, hardly know her. King moved to Florida. Okay, so I did not know that he lives now in Florida. I thought he was still up in Maine because I know he's a Maine native. So, but yeah, this one, The Black Phone, absolutely brilliant. If you haven't had an opportunity to watch it, it is currently on Amazon Prime. You can check it out there. Oh, Derry is fictional, hence why I said it. Okay, yeah, gotcha. Kidding, King. They're just down the road from Arkham and Dunwich. Oh, yeah, Lovecraftian. Yep. But yeah, so that's what makes this one fantastic. We're not going to spoil anything about it. You're going to find out how it ends when you watch it. It ends, I can just tell you, it ends absolutely brilliantly in this magnificently paced sequence. Everything works to effect here. The sound, pacing, editing, lighting especially. The lighting in this is brilliant. It's almost as if the individual characters bring along their traumas. It's like the environment reflects what's going with the baggage of what's going on with each character. Like they're dragging their own little storm clouds with them, and where they are. I love a director that's able to remember that. It's able to remember that one of the big things about ghost stories is that oftentimes the house is haunted by the ghosts that we bring with us. And I love that. I've always loved that as a writing element, as a narrative element. That sometimes the ghosts that haunt us, sometimes the ghosts in the house are the ones that we brought with us when we moved in. And all of the environments, all of the spaces in this one are infected by the traumas, by the ghosts that are haunting all of our characters. The elements of the house where Finney and his sister Gwen and their dad live, the elements at the school, the elements in the grabber's home, the elements of the basement, pitch perfect. Oh, King State of Mind. Gotcha. I got you, Raven. Yeah. And hey, Jay Verse, good to see you. Thanks so much for being here tonight. I do appreciate it. So, like I said, if you haven't had an opportunity, definitely watch it first chance you get. And of course, let us know, because I'm curious about the sequel. I have no idea where they're going to go with it, and I hope they don't change too much in that sense. But I honestly, I don't even want to speculate because I feel like I might wind up just kind of like, revving myself up or like getting myself way too excited about what could possibly be. And then I might up. I'll inadvertently disappoint myself because I got excited for no reason. So I don't even really want to speculate about what's going to happen in the second one, or how the Black Phone plays into it, or what they're going to expound upon. So I have no idea. So but I guess we'll just find out. Sarcasm says the shot where Gwen leaves the house running and the camera stays focused on her face, but the house behind her gets larger. Absolutely beautiful cinematography. The cinematography in this is absolutely brilliant. Scott Derrickson knows absolutely how to handle a frame. He knows what he wants to convey, and he knows where to keep the audience's mind or keep the audience's eyes. He knows what he wants. Like every single thing that he is pointing you to is very, very important. And of course, Brett Jukowitz, who handled the cinematography, this was the DP on this, has his own magnificent filmography. Worked on Scream, 2022 Scream, did magnificent work on Ready or Not, and of course, it will not surprise you, was one of the lead cinematographers on Stranger Things. So you can see more of those threads, more of those kind of inspirations, from the work that he did on Stranger Things to what he brought to this. So you can, I see it's all there. Not to mention, I'm pretty sure that he worked on VHS 85, which was not bad, which is one of the better VHS films because it started kind of like dipping off and then it got better. So everybody is on point. Plus, Ready or Not was fucking amazing. Ready or Not was an amazing film. I love Samara Weaving. She's just like hardcore. The girl can do anything. But yeah, this one right here, stellar film. This time it's a cordless phone. My phone is cordless, definitely. But I love the rotary phones, which is great. But yeah, This one's going to be really, really amazing. So definitely check it out when you get an opportunity. And the thing that I want to ask the audience, and this is big because we just talked about there's going to be a sequel. Of course, this is as successful as this one was. It would be kind of silly for Blumhouse to try to capitalize on this one. But this story is so beautifully contained, in this one film. We get a magnificent arc, a beautifully rendered 3-act structure. We get closure, across the board. But there are, like I said, there are these delicious little threads that can connect to other deeper things. It's just tantalizing. We want to pull on and find out, but that's kind of the kicker, right? Do we want to? Is the film as good as it is because those threads are there? Sometimes the ambiguity, sometimes the unknown, the things that allow us to speculate on why the grabber is who he is. What exactly happened with Finney and Gwen's mom? What happened to their dad that drove them to where he was then? Why do the detectives come in so hostile when they're first talking to Gwen at the school? These reputations that precede people, where do those come into play? The brother, what's his role in this? Given the situation where they wind up living, like I said, I don't want to give too much away. It's like there's so many wonderful little things. Not to mention driving into the aspect of the black phone itself. What is the black phone? What is this thing that is so similar to I'm just going to say it. So similar to The Shining. That seems to touch some people, there you go. There you have it. It's like there's so many threads to Stephen King's universe that are in this. There's like the Shining themes, and then there's Toadash space themes and all kinds of cool shit. So if you love Stephen King, love Joe Hill's work, if you enjoyed that stuff, definitely, yeah. So Sir Cam says, hell yes, I'm totally in for the sequel as long as Joe Hill does the screenplay. I want to see more in this universe. Amazing stuff. Yeah, so that's the thing I want to ask. Given how wonderfully contained this movie is, and maybe one of the reasons it's as good as it is because of those little ambiguous little threads that we get to fill in the blanks ourselves. So the question is, do we want a sequel? Is a sequel even warranted with this film? Sometimes I think just because a movie makes a shit ton of money doesn't mean it needs a sequel or even deserves a sequel. Sometimes the writing itself is chef's fucking kiss, and we can just leave it at that. And we don't need to, because when you expound it, I don't think you're going to disagree. When you expound upon such richly detailed characters, sometimes you add too much to the soup. You can put too much in the soup, okay, and you can spoil it. Sometimes the soup is just fucking perfect, and then trying to recapture that again in a sequel is like capturing lightning in a bottle. What more could Ethan Hawke add to that character? What more could Finney and Gwen add to their characters? Could those characters add to Mason and Madeline add to those characters? What more could they bring in? So that's my curiosity. Unless, of course, it's centered around the black phone. I don't know. Like I said, I don't even know if I want to speculate. So let us know down in the comments below or at weekinhorror@gmail.com. Are you looking forward to sequel? Yes or no? Sequel to the black phone? Yes or no? Yes, you want it. Yes, we need it. Yes, we deserve to explore this universe even more. Or no, this bad boy is fine on its own. It's butterfly wings. Do not touch them, because if you do, they will never get off the ground again. Don't do to the black phone what you did to what happened to Sinister. Sinister was brilliant. Derrickson, Hawke working together, brilliantly atmospheric, with this great, fantastic villain that didn't need all this hardcore, exposition and exploration. Creepy fucking 8mm films. All the shit that went into Sinister, okay? All that buildup to a brutal and savage payoff. And then they went and did Sinister 2, and that butterfly never got off the ground again. So, that's the kicker. So let us know down in the comments below or weekinhorror@gmail.com. Sequel to the black phone, yes or no? That's my curiosity. And let me see here. I say, Josh Lee says, I'd be perfectly fine if there's no sequel. Agree with you there. Sorry. I clear my throat a little bit. Right into the microphone, so I do apologize that you had to hear that. There we go. Dylan Prell says, what if the sequel has the grabber's ghost terrorizing the kid from the first film in some way? Maybe via phone? Hard to say. Like I said, speculation on this is really, really difficult. And I don't want to wind up like, building myself up to expect something and then wind up being disappointed. So I'm just going to leave this in the capable hands of Derrickson, his crew, and Ethan Hawke, and the wonderful actors that were in this to deliver whatever story that hopefully Joe Hill wants them to deliver. So I'm going to leave it at that. This is one of those ones I'm not going to engage in speculation on. Just like I'm not going to engage in speculation on Return to Derry. That's coming out on HBO Max. Not going to engage in that because even though I have very little faith in that. My faith in like scripted television series, kind of like Castle Rock season 2 and went in the wrong direction. Halo was a complete total bust. There are very few that can grab me. That From is still magnificent, although I think From is pushing its limits because it is getting a tad on the convoluted side. But nonetheless, I don't know. I honestly don't know. Let's see. Dylan Press, scratch that. Sounds kind of like Shocker. Josh Lee says, I say no sequel. Casey Cooper says, if Joe Hill pens it, yes. Otherwise, no. Yep, there you go. So I think it'd be kind of like back and forth on this one. Travis Brown says if the sequel can give some, not all answers, then yes. And I think that'll be, to Joe Hill. See what Joe Hill can bring us. Joshua Lee says, I think the attitude of the police was representative of the attitude about abductions at the time. So at that time, if you're thinking about that time period, if you think about like late 70s, early 80s, you're thinking about that time period, obviously, socially, the bad things that we're so keenly aware of now, they did happen then. The problem is the media wasn't everywhere all at once. 24-hour news coverage wouldn't like 24-hour nonstop media coverage wouldn't become a thing until 2001, until 9/11. That's when the nonstop media cycle became a thing. 24-hour nonstop coverage, no matter what it was. And then that's why we saw that's why it became problematic, is because when there was no real news, that's when they started kind of like embellishing to make stuff interesting, and that that whole train went off running. But back then, you had ABC, NBC, CBS, you had your basic news channels that came on at 7:00, and tonight with the news, and then you had your newspapers in the morning, television news at night. That was it. No internet, no cell phones, no cameras, no nothing. No pagers, none of that nature. You just had like your radios, and typically the police had radios. Okay. At home, you probably had a ham radio. All right. Or maybe a crystal radio if you were one of those. But nonetheless, the lack of the technology gave us the false appearance that it was safer times. And so, given the advent of how many kids would run away and then police wind up chasing their tails, you can understand why the police, especially in this particular situation, dealing with such an extreme situation, small town, everybody knows each other. What the hell is going on? All of a sudden, we've got information leaking out, and this is getting wildly out of control. And I can get that. It's given the lack of what they have to work on. So yeah. So we had CNN on cable in 1980. 1980. Well, cable. What was cable? But like C-SPAN snoring. Walter Cronkite. But cable, but not like cable. Like so not like cable is today. So it's different in 1980. So, but yeah, nonetheless. But yeah. So Sir Cam says, I'm a bit worried that it might be like Donnie Darko and S. Darko. One iconic, the follow-up is lost in obscurity. Agreed. S. Darko was forcing it. That's my opinion. Donnie Darko will forever be, legend. Gyllenhaal, Maggie, everybody was involved in this. But S. Darko, Samantha Darko, was the younger sister in that. S. Darko, I felt that story where he was trying to force it, and that was problematic. And that's what might happen with Black Phone 2, is it may come off like they're trying to force something to happen, which never works. So that's just me. Well, so is MTV. Different today. True. MTV is different today. And very, very few had cable. Very expensive. So yeah, magnificent film. Definitely check it out. So really, yeah. But let us know down in the comments below. Sequel, yay or nay? Yay or nay on the sequel to The Black Phone? Okay. Curious about that one. All right. Let's dive into our next one. This is a not a very good one, but a very, very fascinating one. And it's because of the commentary, the commentary that surrounds this movie. But nonetheless, released June 25th, 1982. Speaking of the 80s, hell yeah, I was 2 years old. 1982. We have I'm gonna fuck it up. I'm just gonna promise you. Kwansakui Dracula. If I pronounce that correctly, my apologies to any Korean listeners out there. Kwansakui Dracula or Kwansky, I'm not sure, but Kwansakui Dracula, or translated, Dracula in a Coffin, or Dracula Rises from a Coffin. South Korean Dracula film. Let's cue up this trailer. Bring up the Terror 2. Ouch.
You know, I did everything I was supposed to do. I followed every fucking rule in the book. In the end, they still fucking taste like shit. You know what? Fuck that. Okay, coming up. You know what? Okay, stop it. Stop it. Slam dunk.
Let me in.
Daddy?
Now, before it's too late. You're gonna die in there! All of you! You are gonna die!
한국 여성의 뜨거운 선혈을 마시려고 드라큘라 백작이 찾아왔다. 감옥의 제왕, 악령의 상징, 수백 년을 관 속에 잠들었던 흡혈귀 드라큘라. 모든 여성이여 내 앞에 무릎 꿇어라. 그대들의 육체와 그대들의 영혼이 모두 나의 것. 대창농업이 82년 여름 특급 공수작전으로 한국 영화가에 선사하는 남양 초특작 관 속의 드라큘라. 드라큘라 백작 드디어 한국에 상륙하다. 퀸 크리스토퍼, 그의 분신의 김보리 훗. 심장이 약하신 분은 절대 관람을 삼가해 주십시오. 최신 나병 특집 관 속의 드라큘라, 관 속의 드라큘라, 관 속의 드라큘라.
That was the trailer for Dracula in a Coffin, or Dracula Rises from Coffin. Yes, okay, so I am absolutely going to murder this up, but I'm going to do my absolute best. Directed by Lee Hyung-pyo and written by Lee Hee-woo, starring Park Ji-hoon, Kang Yong-suk, and Ken Christopher. And Ken Christopher, the one English actor that is in this, played Dracula. But the film itself, Obviously, for those who didn't see it, this has been out for quite the untapped market for Dracula, right? So, but the film itself follows. See if I could break this down as best I absolutely can. A series of bodies wind up popping up on let's say like they pop up in this motorboat that like kind of like winds up on shore, and so these bodies suddenly show up on this boat, and then on this little motorboat, and then a student played by Sung Yi Woo is had been studying abroad and returns to Korea suddenly, but suddenly she's changed, and her fiance goes to Minister Pak for advice on like what's going on with her, and it turns out that she is under the thrall of Dracula, and Dracula has come to Korea. CEO's come to Korea and is going to make her a bride, and people start dropping in. Of course, it follows the Dracula formula as best it can. Okay, now two ways we could talk about this. Now, the film in and of itself is more, unfortunately, is more unintentionally funny than it meant to be, because everyone in this takes it very, very seriously of what is going on. The problem is that obviously the nuance that we would anticipate from a Dracula story, which is ostensibly originally, obviously the Irish story, from Dracula from Bram Stoker, and then pretty much made it to England, the way England and the way Europe kind of translated into what we expect in America. It's a little bit different because the acting styles of Korean theater and Korean film are wildly different than what we typically expect across the pond. And of course in England and in Europe as well. So it stands out like a sore thumb, that, and especially when you juxtapose across the fact that you have an American, the only American in this, and Ken Christopher was actually a soldier who was pulled from a base, who was basically cast from I can't remember the name of the base there in South Korea, but he was cast, and so being the only English actor, he really does his best to try and act like he's trained in Korean acting techniques and in Korean performance. But the problem is that he's English, and so the way he moves and the way he interacts is not the same, and his the small little like nuanced micro features, like it's like the way people approach one another, the way they interact socially, and the way everything is so either completely over the top or seems completely fish out of water. Like he's not comfortable with how he's even moving. And so he goes overboard in the big Dracula effects in almost every sequence. I swear, by halfway through, I was shocked that this man did not have dry mouth, because he spends like 85% of the movie with his mouth so wide open. It's like, how is that even possible? I guess, all the fake blood that he is constantly, like this, but it's not like he's like all over the place. It's just kind of like, to really show those fangs. But I found out it's because the fangs in them of themselves was this mouthpiece that it was like this really shoddily built mouthpiece that they kind of like crammed in the top, and he wasn't able to close his mouth entirely. And even the sequence when he was in the coffin, he was closing his mouth, so he was having to force his mouth shut on that. And then eventually they had to close the coffin lid because he couldn't close his mouth entirely because of the way the thing was obstructing his jaw, as he couldn't close his teeth completely because it was what was inside his mouth, giving the effect of the long, spindly, like kind of fangs that were sticking out, kind of cockeyed and shit. So the budget is not there. It's very, very cheap. The blood is obviously not blood. It's obviously either like water with red food coloring, or it's paint. You can tell, very, very cheap. And obviously, those who see the Dracula in this, the Ken Christopher's his entire wardrobe, they essentially. What Lee Hong-pyo tried to do was copy Christopher Lee. It was literally trying to rip directly from Hammer. Okay, that's what this was, and that's ostensibly that's where this movie gets interesting. Even because there's not much to say about the film in and of itself. The acting is okay, but the problem is emoting is different in Korean film. They do not emote like we would anticipate. So everything comes off as very diminished until the big sequences take place, and then everything goes incredibly over the top. Because emotions are kind of like, you keep those kind of on the low. Everything is very cordial, it's very formal, you talk even if the subject matter is really intense, we're all very much in control of ourselves until things get out of control, and then everything's explosive and over the top. So it's very unbalanced, especially for a Dracula film, because there's no real drama. You know, the whole sequence with the sequences with the brides, the sequences with the daughter with Sung Yi-woo, none of that really plays because it feels like everybody is kind of disinterested, or this apathy that kind of runs through it. So that may turn some people off. As far as like, it's kind of like, where is this? You know, because you keep wanting to get to the moments where things kind of get explosive, right? Now, the kicker on this, and you know, as far as shooting it goes, that this is where the kicker is. When you watch this, if you get the opportunity to watch this, which I don't know, the way I found it was, like I said, I had to hunt for a guy who has a Discord server that he had it, and it took forever to get a hold of it. But the problem is that one thing you will definitely notice is that this film is a straight up rip of the Hammer formula. Okay, so everything Hammer had done in the 60s and the 70s, that classic Hammer formula that works so well, that they kind of get, I hate to say it, because they tried so hard. They really did. You could tell that their hearts were in this, but that formula gets butchered in this one, and not in a good way. Okay? The aesthetics that you will get, like the cinematography, just, you know, screams Hammer all throughout. The use of outdoor locations, how they shot certain sequences, and obviously the lighting as well. Lighting as well is extremely Hammer. The amount of gratuitous blood is extremely Hammer. Sloppy vampires and shit like that. It is almost like, I swear, I didn't get the opportunity to do this, but I kind of wanted to go back and watch some of the like the originals, like Horror of Dracula and shit like that, and Taste the Blood of Dracula, because I got the feeling like I had seen some of these sequences before. And for those who really love Hammer, you're going to get that throughout the film. Like this sequence, like there are sequences that stood out to me as like, that were very familiar. And from what I gather, it's because the director pretty much took the Hammer line as direct inspiration all the way down to the way they framed and blocked shots. Framing, lighting, sound, blocking, even the performances in of themselves. It's just like, it's just complete. I don't want to say it's a rip, although it is. It's a complete Hammer rip is what it is. But they tried to do it. Unfortunately, it just doesn't translate. But this is what's really fascinating. This movie, Dracula Rises from the Coffin, or Dracula in a Coffin, is just one of an entire sequence of films, of horror films, that came out in South Korea in the late 70s and the 80s that took direct inspiration from Hammer, because Hammer films were apparently, I had no idea about this when I first pulled this movie, we were going to talk about it. Hammer films were apparently a giant influence on South Korean filmmaking after the Korean War. Okay, when those things started trickling in, and someone actually brought it up. Someone actually brought it up in the guest chat. Where is it at? Cindy Sue said it was the fault of U.S. soldiers in the DMZ that let Dracula come to South Korea. Well, the idea of like Hammer films in and of themselves. Okay, I tried to go and make sure that I read it. Cindy Sue said it, but it was Hammer films themselves that when they were able to trickle over, that deeply inspired South Korean horror filmmaking. The problem is, I say the good thing is that those movies helped to jumpstart the horror cinema, like the horror genre in Korean filmmaking. We wouldn't have one if it wasn't for the advent of Hammer films and their influence in South Korea post-Korean War. Okay? American soldiers bringing over their media, showing it to everybody, and there you have it. Okay? But nowadays, we have some of the most brilliant horror films in Korean cinema that have come out of Korea. Brilliant shit, what was it? I don't want to Park Woo, but Park is one of them. Some amazing. Absolutely, I don't want to try and listen to it down because I'm going to end up fucking up the names shit. But nonetheless, We wouldn't have had it if it was not for this. So I found Dracula Rise from the Coffin fascinating in that respect. Not because it's a great film. I mean, it pretty much does what you'd anticipate it doing. You know, it's a Dracula story told from the kind of perspective of Korea, from South Koreans in the 80s. And I'm quite certain that when this movie came out, that people in South Korea had never quite seen anything like it. Being made instead of being transplanted over from from England or from the UK. Now they had their own that they could kind of hang their hat on, and of course there were other ones as well. So it's kind of neat in that sense, and the fact that it was these films that was kind of like their South Korean Hammer line that gave rise to the horror genre being a popular thing in South Korea that still goes today. Like Train to Busan, amazing fucking movie. So I found that this to be interesting because of its role in horror history in South Korea, in Korean filmmaking, which I think is fucking phenomenal. I think that's just beyond cool. So, so that's the reason that I would say if you get the very rare opportunity to watch this one, even though it comes off as more camp than horror, just because it's the 80s, what they were trying to pull off, and the extreme lack of budget, and the very, very over-the-top performance from Ken Christopher, and the fact that people don't really react to, like you would expect to that. So everything's kind of disbalanced, very, very disjointed, the energy is all weird and off. Editing looked at some points looked like it was fucking edited with a chainsaw. I just have to say that. But nonetheless, it's one of those little fascinating little entries into early horror cinema in South Korea, which I thought was super fucking cool. It's just kind of neat that this has its place. A buried little gem up there with movies like Michio Yamamoto's The Vampire Doll. So I think which is could be watched as a double feature with this one, which I think is kind of cool. So, but yeah, Hammer. The influence of Hammer runs deep, and it goes far. We brought Hammer horror films with us, and wherever we went, and because they were insanely popular, and there you go. So Raven Doctor says trying to bring U.S. horror to South Korea, not really South Korea, and more like Little America. Yeah, just I think the combination of tradition, of ancient Korean tradition. It's kind of like the influence on, obviously, the post-war influence on Japan, of how American media and American entertainment and the whole Western ideologies influenced traditional Japanese values. We have the exact same effect. So it's almost infectious to that degree, which I find entertaining. But yeah, cross-cultural exchange. Left-Handed Jedi brings up cross-cultural exchange. Very, very cool stuff. So, like I said, Dracula rises from Coffin, or Dracula in a Coffin. You don't watch it for the effects. You don't watch it for the acting. You don't watch it for the story because you've seen it 100 times before. But definitely check it out so you can see those early little steps, those first few baby steps into horror filmmaking by a South Korean director, which I think is really, really fucking cool. Lee Hyung-pyo, I thought, did pretty well for what he had to work with. It was, it's tough. He didn't do as a director. He did not do predominantly. He didn't do horror. He did a lot of if I remember correctly, looking into his filmography, he did a lot of just like comedy dramas, like kind of like fish out of water stuff, and like comedy of error stuff. So things that we and then very, very easy material to kind of dive into, where it's really not just comedy of error, shit like that, Folie à Deux, and other themes. So, but nonetheless, definitely check this one out. It's fascinating for its role in the history of Korean horror, and that is the also kind of, I think a lot of you will pick up on the commentary there. There's a commentary that kind of underlies the whole thing that I think it's interesting to the audience, but I think there's one of the reasons why the film doesn't really work that well is because there was a kind of commentary running throughout the deal, subtext of the Korean view of not just American storytelling, but of Americans in and of themselves. And I think that plays out in Ken Christopher's performance, in the direction that he was taking. And I think that will stand out. So there's kind of a commentary on the English, on just on what would be the West to them, like European influences and Western influences. So really interesting stuff. So, but nonetheless, given its importance in Korean horror history, I kind of wanted to ask the audience, what is your favorite Korean horror film? Just your favorite Korean horror film overall. Of all of the Korean horror films that are out there, what is your favorite one? Put it down in the comments below or weekinhorror@gmail.com. Very curious to hear. Just list those out, because there may be some names out there that people haven't seen, and this is a great way to get to put out recommendations for films that people might want to check out if they love K-horror. So let us know your favorite K-horror film down in the comments below or weekinhorror@gmail.com. And Travis Brown brings up Train to Busan. Brilliant. Train to Busan, Chef's Kiss. Peninsula, not Chef's Kiss. But Train to Busan, fantastic stuff, Train to Busan was one of those ones. It was. Train to Busan was one of the ones where it's kind of like butterfly wings, man. You don't fuck with it. Don't touch it. Don't add to it. Doesn't need it. Beautifully little contained story of a dad and his daughter during the zombie apocalypse. Don't need to go any further. Ooh, Left-Handed Jenna brings up the Host. The Host was good. I enjoyed that one. Not to mention it had the actor, I can't remember his name. It had the actor who played Herschel in The Walking Dead in the very beginning, in that opening sequence when he's telling his assistant to dump all his chemicals down the drain. So I thought that was good. It was kind of nice that he popped over and did that. But yes, The Host was really, really good as well. Thoroughly enjoyed that one. I think there was another one, The Lake. Was an actual like kaiju film, which I thought was kind of cool. So they have all kinds of cool shit. Not to mention a lot of psychodramas as well. So a lot of like crazy psychological horror shit is out there as well. So I think Parasite, really fucking good. So definitely I Saw the Devil. Oh yeah. Oh fucking oh shit. The Sadness. Oh man, so many good ones. Oh yeah, list them down there. List them down there. If you haven't seen The Sadness, buckle up, because you ain't seen nothing yet if you haven't seen that one. All right. So let's move on to our, I dropped my screen. Let's move on to our next one. Sorry, I had somebody like messaging me there. Or The Sadness was Taiwan, I think. Oh, Sadness was Taiwanese. Sadness was Taiwanese. Tale of Two Sisters was good. Tale of Two Sisters was also really good. So yeah, but let's dive into our next one. This is what happens when I'm alone and I don't have somebody to pick it up, and then I get messaged. Then I have to because it might be something important that I need to. That's one of the tough things. You got to kind of balance it out. When I'm here in the studio by myself. What am I doing? All right, let's move on to our next one. Going Down Under. That was terrible. Don't tell Irish Demon that I said it that way. Anyway, released June 27th, 2017. We have the survival horror Blood Hunt. Down Under. It's terrible. I know. Let's check out the trailer. Cue up the terror tube.
I always wanted to be a surgeon, but the boards wouldn't pass me. Can you guess why?
He's gonna suffer. You're gonna watch.
short and sweet. That was the trailer for Blood Hunt. And Travis runs Aussie Horror has no boundaries. That's true. That is true. Aussie Horror has no boundaries. So, directed by Sam Curtin, written by Danny Beaton, Sam Curtin, and Benjamin Jung Clark, starring Dean Kirkwright, Khalil Williams, Thomas Roach, and Benjamin Denmead. The film follows a couple who was going on holiday, and they run afoul of a trio of psychopaths that are running around out there in the middle of nowhere, Australia, who proceed to capture them, which basically proceed to run them down, capture them, and looking to torture them, and then it turns into a fight for survival to see who's going to make it out, and who will survive and what will be left with them. The problem is, no one deserves to survive in this fucking movie because everyone in this movie is fucking stupid. I'm just going to flat out say that every single character in this movie deserves to freaking die, and they deserve everything. I mean, I know some of it is brutal, but everyone in this thing is dumb. They're all dumb. The first thing I will say that straight out. Now, the problem with this movie is that it is bare bones survival horror, and I'm talking bare bones, meaning one person trying desperately not to get killed. That's pretty much what it is. It's just running around. The problem, that's a big issue there. The other problem is that this movie is at best a lukewarm Wolf Creek rip. It's what it is. The problem is the biggest issue that I have here. They're like the biggest issue is that none of the characters are likable. Okay. There's no chemistry whatsoever anywhere. Okay. It was I got vibes of a couple of there was another horror film that we talked about months ago where it kicks off and the couple that's together are like they have no chemistry and they're already at odds with one another. Okay. Well, that's the problem here is because all the drama between let me see if I can articulate this appropriately. As a writer, it's really, really important for the drama that exists between your leads, if you have a couple, are your leads, the drama that exists there. It's really, really important for that drama to fuel their recognition of their love for one another and then drive them to fight and survive. Okay? That's the important thing. The drama must be important enough, or it must be personal enough, that we realize that the reason the drama exists is because they love each other so much. All right? That's the kicker. And that sometimes is difficult to write. And so you see the best ones are where you see that drama, you see that these two, they really care about each other, but they're at their wits' end. And they're trying to do this kind of last-ditch thing to kind of like save the relationship. It was very similar to Vacancy. Okay? Vacancy, Luke Wilson, Kate Beckinsale, both phenomenally terrific actors, but all of the bullshit drama between them was so forced that I did not care. And because it's just artificial. It's artificial drama for the sake of characterization. And that doesn't work. And it doesn't work here in Blood Hunt either. Okay? Another big thing is that you're in Australia. If you're shooting in Australia, the environment is as much a character as your characters are. Okay? If you look at Wolf Creek, there are two villains in Wolf Creek, two enemies, okay? Both of which appear to be unstoppable or insurmountable. One is Mick Taylor. The other is Australia. Because Australia is dangerous. Okay? Well, at least deep in the outback it is. Two bad guys, both seemingly insurmountable, which is why the odds are so stacked against our heroes. And if our heroes survive, we know how much they overcame because Don McLean knows that to convey Australia as the dangerous place that it can be, you must be willing to show Australia, which we don't see here. This is an Australian survival horror film called Blood Hunt. Okay? You make like the Furies, where the environment is as dangerous as the killers that are after you. They don't do that in this one. No time at all is spent on enjoying or like appreciating Australia for what it is. It's just two people. This you could have placed this in freaking the U.S., like small towns in the U.S. No different. The only thing that would set it apart is the fact they all have accents. So the focus is not where it's meant to be. The characterizations are forced. The acting is mediocre. It's par for the course. The acting is what it needs to be. It's pretty much what it is. But then the writing. When your characters are this dumb and are making these dumb decisions, what are you doing? Okay? I spent most of the time like being frustrated by watching these people do the dumbest shit and winding up right back into the lion's den when they could have gotten out of the lion's den. Okay? Having your lead character escape, but then suddenly be overcome because unfortunately, the girlfriend gets toasted, but they escape, but she dies. Now all of a sudden, instead of going to the authorities because I have their car, they can't get off the property. They're stuck out there in the middle of nowhere. I know where they are. Go get the authorities in the car you stole and bring them back. But no, I'm overcome with revenge, and I'm going to go and take them all out single-handedly when I couldn't take them out single-handedly beforehand, when I had something to fight for, which was trying to protect my girl. But then all of a sudden, he comes back, okay? And then does shit like, you remember the fact that the bad guys have a gun, right? They have a rifle. And you're just going to like walk in there barehanded? Like walk into the situation. You don't have a layout. You're just going to come across them one at a time. And then every single time you knock somebody out. If you're in a situation like this, you don't stop swinging until you see white matter. That's the rule. And yet, bing, he's down. Let's run. No, the dude is like 6'3" and like 400 pounds. You don't bing him once and then run away. No, you bing him until you don't have to worry about him getting up anymore. The bad guys are as dumb as the heroes are. Just silly across the board. And even the reason why they're kidnapped is completely fabricated. And here's what's fucked up. You watch the movie, you kick off the film, and it starts off with this kind of like this, like they're filming themselves doing this to another victim. So you get this kind of like even lambs have teeth vibe to it, which I found was kind of interesting. Okay, ha ha ha, Omni, very cute. So it starts off with these vibes, kind of like, oh, I see, we're kind of going in this direction. Almost, it kind of almost felt like a Chrome Skull vibe, like it was going that route, or maybe even the Furies, where this is all being done because it's being filmed, where there's like an internet component or a larger component that's going on. It's not. The whole opening sequence where they're filming that, like it's all being like done, and like it's all dark and it's black and white like that. That whole sequence is just for aesthetic. It lends nothing to the story itself. So pure aesthetic choice that an aesthetic choice like that is meant to say something about the story, about the narrative, but it doesn't. They don't capitalize on that. It's literally just three psychos that pretty much live on a farm in the middle of nowhere, and they just capture They like run down stragglers. They find some stupid reasons to run down stragglers, then grab them and then drag them back, and that's pretty much it. And they just torture the hell out of them and kill them. No reason. So, and that's it. You'll spend more time being pissed off about this, and it sucks because it doesn't even try to live up to its premise. Now, I know nothing's ever going to beat Wolf Creek. Nothing's ever going to beat Wolf Creek. Nothing's ever going to beat John Jarrett's performance as Mick Taylor. There's a reason why he got 2 movies. There's a reason why he got 2 seasons of television. There's a reason why there's a Wolf Creek 3 coming out. Mick Taylor is an amazing bad guy. Don McLean knows how to shoot fucking Australia. His cinematography is brilliant. His landscapes are like paintings, but they're like terrifying paintings because he juxtaposes the desolation with the beauty and paints this beautiful portrait, and then puts this psycho, this damn near unkillable, but still human, but damn near unkillable psycho living out there in the middle of nowhere, okay? That all lends itself. Not to mention, John Jarrett is a goddamn charismatic actor. He's funny. He's interesting. He's fucking scary. These guys are like rejects from the Warriors. Okay? And just classic tropes. angry guy. It was like what was it? Like skin-headed angry guy, giant fat dumb guy, and pretty boy. You're like basic villain tropes and your basic hero tropes. Boyfriend, girlfriend, artificial drama. He gets angry, comes back and kills everybody. And does dumb shit like, running into guns. And so it's like anybody with a sense of tactical awareness or combat awareness or experience, or even then if you've watched too many horror movies like I have, you're going to watch this and be like, what are you doing? What are you doing? Why are you dumb? Why are you so stupid? What is happening? There's this entire chase sequence that lasts way too long. Way too long. When the bad guys are the bad guy, he's in his fucking little like his little coupe. He's like a 4-door coupe. And the fucking thing is like overheating because and they never really are clear whether or not the bad guy sabotaged the radiator line or it was just damaged. He was an idiot. But anyway, they're driving the damn thing. And they're being chased by the bad guys and it's like his fucking Camino. And so he's right behind him. And I keep noticing these sequences. It's like, dude, he's trying to get alongside you because he wants to T-bone or he wants to T-maneuver you. That's what he's trying to get you to spin out. That's the whole point. He wants to get up behind. His car has more mass. He wants to get up behind you on your back tire, and he's trying. And you see him constantly trying to maneuver to do that to get him to spin out or at least flip the car because they're traveling at high speed. But the problem is he doesn't see the hero driving the car doesn't seem to realize that when you are traveling at top speeds. And it's dangerous, yes, but throw your seatbelt on. You've got 3 guys sitting in one chair because it's a Camino, so it's one bench seat. Okay, so they're all sitting next to each other, which means someone's not wearing a seatbelt. You slam on the brakes, and you make them flip their car when they're hovering at that angle. Just slam on the brakes. Hold the wheel, slam the brakes, flip their car, then get the hell out of there. Or at least when they're all fucked up and injured, then you take care of them. Then you get the hell out of there. So many opportunities. And just people just being dumb. Just dumb-dumbs. Okay? When the girl manages to escape, when all the bad guys are focused on you, okay, and your girlfriend manages to slip her bonds, and she's going, and she's like, and he's like telling you, he's like, go, like, leave me, like, run, escape. And then you react to her leaving and cue the bad guys into this. You deserve what happens to you, man. It's fucking silly. It's beyond silly. So, yeah, dumb characters. The dumb is strong with this one. And you will be more pissed off at the heroes, at the guy and the girl, than you will at the bad guys. And the bad guys, honestly, everything that they don't even really do that much. This isn't like I Spit on Your Grave. This isn't like any... It's trying to set it up as a grape and revenge film, but it really isn't because it doesn't go the distance. It doesn't go the Wes Craven distance in trying to convey, or like Straw Dogs, okay, or anything of that nature. It tries to be what it's not, and it doesn't do what it should have done, okay? And that's the kicker, There's so many better films that they could have pulled off of, and Blood Hunt simply does not do it. And obviously, they're trying to rip off Wolf. They're trying to pull, in the vein of Wolf Creek. But guess what? Wolf Creek, too little, too late. This movie came out in 2017, okay? And you want to rip Wolf Creek, but Wolf Creek, was 2005 when that one came out. 2005 when the first one came out. So you're 12 years too late in trying to convey this one. So and trying to like pick up where McClane left off, or try to jump on that vibe. Not going to happen. So unfortunately, Blood Hunt, just a lukewarm lukewarm horror film that popped down the pipeline. It was I'm pretty sure it was straight to DVD. That pretty much just drops the ball. Yes, sarcasm as it fails on every possible level. There are far better survival horror, like Australian survival horror films that are out there that you could definitely jump on. There was a survival horror film about 3 biology students who encounter who go to Australia, who are going to the outback after the wildfires, the highly publicized wildfires, and they encounter a what was thought to be extinct, a prehistoric koala, the prehistoric ancestor of the modern koala, which was a big ass kind of like it was a megafauna, and so but it was deep there in the outback, but the wildfires pushed it out, and now it's, it's encountering people and it's killing them and it's biting people's heads off and shit. That movie with a giant prehistoric koala, that movie was better than this. Okay? And that movie was fucking dark the entire time. It was so dark. But nonetheless, this one shot broad daylight. And even then, doesn't even manage to pull it off. The torch scenes aren't original. You've seen it 100 times before. Stringing people up and just punching on them. Tying someone up with barbed wire. It's seen it 100 times. It's just, there's nothing magnificent there. And every chance they had an opportunity to try and capitalize on something interesting, something that kind of like tells us more about these characters themselves, they just drop it. They don't even go there. Even the big sequence, there is a grape sequence. Even that sequence is shot so tamely. You would anticipate the visceral nature of that. I know that seeing sequences like that are not for everyone. Okay? But the graphic nature of that experience, okay? That shocking violation. Seeing that on screen is meant as much for the audience to shock the audience and to get the effect of the audience. But seeing that is supposed to inform the character. The problem is that from a visual perspective, if you don't show it to the audience, then there's no reason to think that the character saw it. Because if we're not reacting as if our reaction is lukewarm, then we will not identify with how the character is reacting. We won't. We won't feel that rage. We won't feel that desperation because we're not seeing it. We have to imagine it. And then we have to imagine the other guy, the lead character. We have to imagine him imagining it. So it even as bad as it even ostracizes the audience, which is just fucking just terrible. Sir Cab says, I will say one thing in this movie's favor. The makeup blood effects were good and consistent throughout. Yeah, I'll agree with that. Yeah, I will say the practical effects are decent, but just not enough to save it. The practical effects were okay, but obviously they could have gone farther. I would have liked to have seen some actual legitimate shit, like, when he is like slicing that dude up, like, ha, he's got the friggin' knife. He's like, ha, ha, ha. I would have liked to see, really show us how far you're going. Get us in there. The fight sequence in the car when he gets the drop. But why would you, if someone's sitting in the passenger seat, okay, and they have a knife, why would you approach the driver's side to open the door and attack them? Why wouldn't you not come around the passenger side? Because the door is open. So he doesn't have line of sight down the side by looking in the side view mirror. Because the door is open. That means that the side view mirror is off to the side. Okay, is kicked out. You could sneak up along the passenger side and get the drop on him right there. Okay? Now he's stuck in the car and you have control of the situation. Don't open the driver's side door and then pop in like you're trying to be Jason. Okay? And then give away the game because the minute the door opens, he turns on and sees him. Dumb shit. Consistently dumb shit all throughout. Just dumb. Dumb. But I will say the film did make me think. The thing I want to ask the audience about, ask you guys about. The Australian outback. Of all the survival horror films that are out there, wherever they might be, wherever they might be placed, there are definitely desolate. Sarcasm. I laughed my ass off. I said the exact same thing while I was watching it out loud because it was dumb. Dumb. Just dumb. Raven Doctor says, one quick yes or no question. Forgot to ask at the start. Did you hear about the fraud? I did. Different subject for this one, but yes, I did hear about that. But sarcasm, yes. Dumb. But given all the places in the world that you could set a survival horror film, okay? The Outback, it's pretty good. But there's other places, the Pacific Northwest, okay? The desert, the ocean, okay? Desolate places where there are few resources and where survival really takes grit, effort, determination, and training, and a lot of luck, okay? But my question is, of all the places, deep forest, shit like that, of all the places where you could set a survival film or a hunting film, like a survival hunt film, Is the Outback the worst? Is that the worst place that you could be? Meaning, is that the most dangerous? Is the worst place to be hunted the Outback? Let us know down in the comments below or weekinhorror@gmail.com if the Outback is the best place. Is the best place for a hunting horror film? Is it, or is it the worst place? You never want to be hunted there. You choose anywhere else but the Outback. Or is there a place more dangerous, more scary? Let us know down in the comments below or weekinhorror@gmail.com. Is the Outback the worst place to be hunted? Or is there a scarier place? Love to hear your thoughts. Love to hear your opinions on that. Oh, Raven Doctor says a space station. Jason X. Wrote it in the last name, says deserted island with few places to hide. Oh, space. Yeah. Amazonian jungle. Aha. Green Inferno. Shit like that. Yeah. Travis Brown says no water, all desert. Yep. Aussie Outback is the worst, but there are even worse places in the world. Omnios versus you can set it in your funny. You're so cute, Omni. You're just so cute. Yes, you could set it in Uranus. You're so cute. Dingo ate my companion. Amazonian rainforest would be brutal. Dylan Prell says Amazon rainforest would be fucking brutal. It would. Sarkaz has got to go Pacific Northwest. Tons of cover and shadows. See, I like the Pacific Northwest myself. Surviving the game? Shit, yeah. So Pacific Northwest is amazing. Woods of Maine is nice. The Congo, hell yeah. Liz K, good to see you. This is my house. Nice. Good to see you, Liz K. Thanks so much for being here. Tony Regime as well. Good to see you, bud. Yes, Uranus is big and gassy. You are correct, Joshua Lee. So, interesting stuff. But let us know down in the comments below at weekinhorror@gmail.com the worst place to be if you were in a survival horror film. Is it the Outback or is there someplace worse? Ooh, what is it? What is that? I don't want to say the other name for it. Hang on a sec. You know which one I'm talking about. I got to get the name for it because it's Japanese. I think you know which one. Aokigari Forest. I didn't want to say the other name that it's known by. If you're familiar with Aokigari Forest, it's a giant forest at the base of Mount Fuji. I think that. Tundra would be good. Mars, Antarctica. Well, Antarctica, the thing. Yeah, because you're, no place to hide. Where you are the warmest place to hide. But Aokigara Forest, which is, yes, Tangwas, I didn't want to say. You know exactly like there. Yeah. But yeah, the forest at the base of Mount Fuji, giant forest. Yeah, that's scary. That freaky. I want to see one there. Yeah. Definitely. Yes, the cancel your life subscription, the cancel your subscription to the Life Channel forest. Yeah, you got it. Yeah, the one that is supposedly haunted. So yeah. Oh, but the pictures of it are beautiful. I mean, I love it in pictorial form. Like the images of that forest are just stunning. But I imagine being trapped out there, being hunted by someone as big as that place is at the base of Mount Fuji. That would be fucking scary as shit. I think Aokigara Forest, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. Correct me if I'm pronouncing that wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's Aokigara Forest. So, but yeah, scary place, terrifying. All right, let's move on to our last one of the night. And this one released June 28th, 2022. We have Where the Scary Things Are. You see what we did there? Haha, where the wild things, where the scary things. Where the scary things are. Let's check out this trailer. Cue up the terror tube.
Here's your fucking courtesy tap. You're in my shirt! You're in my shirt!
where the scary things are. 3 years ago, 7 children disappeared without a trace. Were they taken by Lockjaw, a local urban legend, or something worse? This is their story.
Lockjaw, the creepy guy that supposedly lives in the sludge ponds. Anyone here ever actually seen Lockjaw? You all are going to, drum roll, you're going to create your own urban legends to see how false information becomes accepted as fact.
I want this urban legend project to rock. We make it way more scary.
There's something in the box!
Nothing could live in their snack.
We need to find a place to hide this thing. This is gonna be great.
You want me to go in here? It's in there anyway, huh?
Just go.
What the hell is this? This is some sort of prank video, huh? This is awful.
We have thousands of comments. I'd like to throw one of those haters in there.
Everything on that channel is real. I'll take you there tonight.
What the hell did you kids do?
Hi, Mr. Lewis.
I can smell fear. Did you ever see Lockjaw?
I work with facts, Max.
We need to call the cops. We are in over our heads.
We will go right to the edge.
I'm muted. Yes, that was the trailer for Where the Scary Things Are. Where the Scary Things Are. So, directed by B. Harrison Smith and written by B. Harrison Smith, starring Caitlin Branch, Michael Cervantes, Peter Cote, Paul Cotman, Molly Dennis, Quinn Andrew Fix, Selena Flancha, and Indira Ford. The film follows a group of students at the local high school who have their own kind of like group called the Dockers. And I'll get into that whole explanation in a minute. But they decide they are tasked with creating their own urban legend by their teacher. And their project quickly gets out of hand when they discover that the legend behind a local urban legend is true, and their desire for more likes and going viral winds up having deadly consequences. So if you ever want an example of how to drop the ball on your premise, it's this one. The setup is fantastic. Okay, group of students that themselves are kind of outsiders are tasked with developing their own urban legend as a lesson in how misinformation spreads and how these things build up over time, culturally speaking. It's a nice little assignment. I have to give it that. And then they wind up discovering that there is truth behind a local urban legend, and then their utilization of that to basically do their project, and their desire for fame and viral infamy in today's internet age winds up having deadly consequences. That would be fantastic. The whole thing is definitely Sarcasm brings up the Goonies meets Stand By Me with a healthy dose of Chud, and I would also say Dead Girl. Okay. Because if you haven't seen Dead Girl, that one is a particularly visceral film, where two friends, okay, where one is the kind of like dominant, one's a submissive. But when two friends discover a naked woman in the basement of an abandoned hospital who is not alive yet is alive, she's a fucking zombie, is what she is, and they wind up using her for their own personal, fun. Shit like that. Also have also vibes of like The Woman with Pollyanna McIntosh. If you haven't seen that, also a brutally vicious little film. But the bad thing on this one is that I rarely have I seen a film, and it's not like the movie dropped the ball on the premise because of the cinematography or the lighting or the sound or the direction. None of that. Okay, the film drops the ball because of one person, one actor in this. And I'm very, very sorry I mean, well, not really. I'm not so sorry. But I am going to stick all of the responsibility on this one on Selena Flancha, unfortunately. This because okay, he's just joined me, so he's joining me probably for this last one because he wants to chat about it. What's up, Eugene?
Hey, what's up, everybody?
Your audio's a little jacked.
Oh, hang on.
It's coming a little overcooked and really far away.
How about now?
Yes, perfect. That sounds great. Okay, so and yeah, when you watch this movie, you're gonna pick up a little dash of weird science. There are some fantastic influences going into this. A great setup, a great premise. But the problem is, in the way I saw it, two things like what the ball got dropped in one point, and I'm gonna put the lion's share of this. You could argue that the parents, the way the parents are conveyed, they're all fucking shit. But the parents are shit in order to justify why the kids are the way they are. That's artificial and forced. But I don't care about that. I really didn't care about that because it's a fucking monster movie. I want the monster, okay? I want the slimy, gross, people-eating monster that they've got locked up that they're going to use to go viral, okay? And then they get pissed off, people start calling it fake. I want that. It's a monster movie. I want monsters. The problem is that the kids are more monster than the monster. And the fact is, we actually watch the movie, the monster isn't even really, it looks monstrous. Great practical effects. I love the design of it. But it doesn't even start off as much. It's not aggressive. It doesn't attack anybody. In fact, it's almost pet-like. Until they start torturing the fuck out of it, and they make it into a monster. And then it starts eating people. Because
you kind of root for
it.
You end up rooting for the monster.
You root for the monster. It's like they're like when they film beating it with a baseball bat and then shooting it. Like they are shooting it with a gun. And it's like, what are you doing? At that point in the movie, when you realize that they're torturing this shit, they're torturing this creature for likes, and to go viral, you're as the audience, all we're waiting for the moment. We're not waiting for, if shit's gonna hit the fan. We're wondering, when is it going to hit the fan and how badly is it going to hit the fan? That's what we're waiting for. Is like, it's not a matter of if it's going to happen. It's just a matter of when and how nasty it's going to be. Because the kids are fucking atrocious. The parents themselves are also atrocious. These are all latchkey kids. Parents don't pay attention. They're either treat them with disdain or they're completely negligent. They don't give a fuck. They only care about the kids when the kids are problematic. Okay. Otherwise, do what the fuck ever.
So you got to keep in mind that these are probably some of the stupidest kids I've seen in a movie in a long
time.
And
they're dumb. They're fucking dumb.
So the first time you see this monster, right, and this monster's coming out of the shadows, this is the most casual reaction to seeing a monster for the first time I have ever seen in a movie. This creature-like thing is wounded and is going and like passes out in front of you. And do they run? Are they screaming? Are they calling authorities? Are they doing anything like that? No. Let's wrap it up and drag it to our shed area. And then when they tie this thing up, right, it's like they've never seen anyone get tied up before. Let's do a single strap around the waist. Not even the arms. It's not even the arms or legs, or we're going to cover this thing in rope and restrain it or anything like that. No. And I mean, it like the most casual, stupid kids I have ever seen.
Right. Sarcasm says, but you don't even get enough emotional feedback from the kids to make you hate them. They're NPCs in a movie where they should be the players. Well, I will say the biggest issue there is that obviously amongst this group of kids, what's Ayla's character? Ayla's character is the leader. She's the one that's pretty much dictating everything. Everyone follows Ayla's lead. And if there's ever been a demonstration, and I'm going to be kind of vulgar here. If there's ever going to be a demonstration of how fucking stupid high school boys are, and in how fucking hormonal they are, and how a whiff of Quim will send them running in that direction to do whatever they need to do, whatever that she wants them to do, is just beyond stupid. It's damn near a cult of personality. But Selena Flanch's performance is so fucking disjointed. Okay, where I would almost think that her character was mentally ill. Okay, she comes off as I would hate to say she comes off as bipolar. Because she flips at the drop of a hat. She gets angry at inconsequential shit, but shit that should make her upset, she takes like with an absolute coolness. I don't know if they're trying to set her up as I think they were like the writer. I think he was trying to set her up as being psychotic, as like a burgeoning psychopath, but she just comes off as just like mentally unstable, just as like emotionally disturbed, just like this, and she's all over the place, and she uses all the classic, like tropes, like when she's like coming on to the guys to get her way. It's just fucking textbook DSM-4 bullshit, which is so goddamn obvious. And so, yeah, I'm not even trying to polish this shit. There's not. I wish that I could polish this by hanging on the hat of the monster, because the monster design is great. The fact that they set this whole thing, that the whole general setting of the movie is in a closed down, like it's almost like a fucking Disneyland for horror fanatics. It's not like a haunted house.
It's
like
it's
a sprawling. It's like
fair kind of thing.
Yeah, it's like a fucking theme park,
haunted house kind of thing. Yeah,
right. It's a goddamn amusement park for horror. Like if you took an annual like haunted house, okay, and turned it into a fucking Six Flags, where it was a Six Flags but it was horror themed all throughout. That and it's closed for the season. That's their stomping ground. That is the production value. You have a magnificent set, you have a fantastic premise, and then you just fucking, I don't know if this was miscasting. You have a great monster, okay? But I don't know. Maybe it was the writing. Maybe the writing down the board is just fucking awful.
The writing. It's the writing and the writer and the director, because it's just stupidity across the board, even to the point where you call someone to your place to feed them to a monster as if that's not one of the first things that the police are going to check. Like, as soon as the first person went missing and they put it online, the police are going to find you. They just are. I'm like, you would get the first person, fine, that's a surprise, and you post a video up online, and then they're going to ping your cell phone, and then they're going to go and they're going to find you, and then you're all in jail. They wouldn't even have made it to the point where the monster kills them. Spoiler alert, monster kills them. Like, that's how stupid it is. And we don't even necessarily get like, man, a great final battle, a great third act. When you have her running, clearly she can run faster than this monster. Like, she really can. She can run faster than it. And it's like, if she just kind of maintains a light jog and leaves the abandoned theme park, or not abandoned, but the closed down theme park that she spent the majority of her life at, but somehow gets lost.
They make a big thing about it, that they know this place like the back of their hands. Like, they know it. And she winds up getting trapped there? What? It's like, why won't this door open? You know the door doesn't open. You know it doesn't, because you've been there. You had an entire fucking way too long sequence where you were making out and dancing with your boyfriend in that very fucking room. Why did you go there? What are you doing?
You knew.
Way too long and drawn out sequences. We don't need this. We did like that. Everything is so disbalanced. The focus is not where it needs to be. And I absolutely get that there is this underlying commentary that the shit we see online, that like in this general society, in the society we live today, that we are so desensitized by the shit that we see online and in the 24-hour news cycle, that shit we see on a daily basis, that we are so desensitized by it that someone could put legitimate, real stuff like this on the internet and people would not think it was real. I get that. I get that commentary is there, but they spend no time on it. there was some, and that's just what fucked up. This is what really kind of pissed me off. There were some nice little plot threads that were in there. The whole theme of desensitization.
Mm-hmm.
That's an important theme that should have been explored. The whole concept of how teachers are being blamed for shit that is not their fault, and that their lessons are being curtailed because they're trying to reach students. But this whole notion of like schools being terrified of parents coming down on them with lawsuits and shit is affecting the way our kids are learning. That whole thing could have been explored as well. The whole sequence with the teacher, it's like, wait a minute, this letter isn't about me. This letter is about another student. But it happened in your class, so you're gonna be like this, like, and his like. The fact that reaction on his face, that should have been commentary. The fact that we desensitize that our kids are being desensitized by media, and then we do not, and then for fear of being sued, we don't teach them how to differentiate between fact and fiction. So we actually wind up screwing our children, and terrible parenting, latchkey kids, kids not being paid. The whole thing is a setup for why kids are fucked up, okay? For the things that are brought forth in the media. Bad parenting, weak education, and the desensitization of social media. And the shift of that, assuming that likes and views on social media equate to actual validation. All of that, and then throw in a fucking monster. A legitimate monster that eats people. That is fucking brilliant. And you could not capitalize on that, which is
nothing.
Fucked.
Nothing. It doesn't. It's like, here's a little nugget, and then it takes it away from you. And when you think about it, it's like, okay, well, they're trying to do this for views, and then people think it's fake, so we have to up the game. People watch stuff on the internet all the time they know is fake. People post fake stuff that goes viral. Cool. You know what? We're gonna get 1 million views. We'll get paid. And then we can move on.
They didn't even get that. They didn't even get that. They were like 10, like those were like 10,000 views.
Yeah,
like 10,000. Those are fucking rookie numbers. I was like, you're not even viral yet, baby. He's like, what are you doing? But it was like, and then and nobody is like, there's like virtually nobody likable in this one, and and the whole notion of like, and it was, I think it was she was, who was it brought it up? Damn it, somebody brought it up. It was the. Hey, wasn't Tang? I'm sorry. Son of a bitch. Was it Cindy Sue? Someone brought up the whole idea that that humans are the monsters, that they made the monster. That's the whole point. Is like the idea that the shit that we do in this world, because we're so desensitized and so cut off from other people, and that interpersonal relationships are a fucking thing of the past. That, especially for kids today, that we wind up creating monsters in our desperation to prove that we ourselves are not monsters, or whatever in that respect. It was Tang Whistle. Thank you very much, Tang. Mm-hmm. And so, and there's that one little moment at the very, very end, because he had this sequence, like one of the characters, and they have like the goofiest of fucking names, but one of the characters was nice to the monster, brought it water and brought it food. Okay. And so it starts like acting like a pet. And then at the very end, when the shit fucking hits the fan and the teacher gets smoked because they knew it was going to happen, and the teacher gets smoked and then he looses the thing, the monster actually pushes him out of the way. The one kid who was nice pushes him out of the way and then goes to kill everybody else. And then that one kid winds up being the survivor that winds up spreading the urban legend. So it all kind of it comes full circle. Too little, too fucking late. Too little, too fucking late, Smith. B. Harrison Smith, if that is your real name. So I'm just throwing that out. But so many things that the focus wasn't where it, just like in Blood Hunt. You don't do an Australian outback survival horror film and you don't show the fucking outback. Okay? You don't do a monster movie commentary film, or commentary movie where the commentary is the desensitization of the youth of today via social media, and you don't explore that for what it is. I was so pissed off that they failed the premise. I was so pissed off by that I was able to overlook the terrible acting. Especially, and I'm just going to say it again, Selena Flancha. What the literal fuck? Eugene, as a filmmaker, and you can give your opinion here. When you have an actor who is doing, sometimes you have an actor that just needs to do line readings. Feed him the line, they say the line. Feed him the line, they say the line. Okay, feed him a couple lines, maybe they get it out, get like 3 or 4 takes. Okay, but these weren't even. How does an actor not know how to line read? At least give a fucking line reading. These lines don't even feel like they're connected in her dialogue.
I don't know how she got the role. I
have no clue.
I don't. I legitimately don't. But going on, because I'm going to blame the director on this one. Ultimately, all this stuff falls on the director.
He wrote it too.
And so he wrote it, he directed it. Who knows how the hell he got money for it? But
I know I got money for it because the premise is fucking amazing. Because this shit is like Goonies meets Weird Science meets Chud meets there's so many influences here. It's brilliant.
Surely they read the script. But regardless anyway, it ultimately falls on the director for missing the mark this bad. For casting her for who knows why or what reason. Maybe she was the best person. Maybe he was like, oh, well, that's the one that I envisioned when I wrote it. Because sometimes directors will miscast because they visualize a character in their head. And then when they cast for somebody who looks like that character over their ability to act. Right. I've seen that happen. And you're like, this person can't act. Yeah, but they're exactly how I pictured. I was like, the audience doesn't care what you pictured.
How do we know that?
Yeah.
How would we know that? Like, we don't give a shit. I don't care if you like cast who can do the part. If you
who can
read the script.
Who can play it? But anyway, it missed because the thing is acting all around. It's not just her performance. Acting all around is bad. That's why I think it's the director who didn't know how to direct.
And well, I mean, it's weird because Smith has some movies under his belt. The what was it? The special, the one about the box with the guy, the special box, the guy you go in and you have sex with, and it's like the best orgasm ever, and the guy becomes obsessed, and it turns out there's like a head in the box and shit. It's really he directed that. He also directed Death House with Kane Hodder, which was not a bad horror action film. So he's not a terrible director. I've seen his other stuff, and he does do like wild kind of like out there shit. But this is not evidence of that. Which is I don't know where I don't know why the ball was dropped so badly. That's what's fucked up. Is that the ball should not have been dropped that badly. So
those things I don't know. Maybe and I really hate speculating because I really hate speculating on this one, especially a couple of female actresses. But sometimes women use their wildly charms to get roles.
Sarcasm just said that she used her sexual wiles, obviously, to charm her way into the role. Why did I read that like Foghorn Leghorn? No, her sexual wiles, but I don't think so because if what I saw in that movie was evidence of her sexual wiles, then I guess practice makes perfect.
It goes both ways. So it could be where either the director is into her and cast her, and she may just play, audition. She got the role and she did her part and everything like that. And nothing could have happened. But at the same time, there have been women that will try to influence directors in that way. Most don't. True. But there are women out there that have tried, and women that will kind of like, oh, let's wear a revealing outfit to the audition and kind of see what happens and everything, and kind of do something like that just to try to get a part. Some women do that. Some men do that as well. But like, and just maybe the director just bad.
Overall, the whole fucking thing is a complete missed opportunity, and it really kind of pissed me off because it's such a fantastic premise that could have gone in so many different ways. A premise like this, it is actually generational. This works on so many levels. This premise would have worked in the 70s. It would have worked in the 80s. It would have worked in the 90s, the 2000s. Now, you could take this story, Group of outside kids discover monster. Shit hits the fan. Okay, as the discovery of the monster reveals the monsters within them, or whatever, however you want to go about that. This could play a number one. It's such an amazing premise, and then they do nothing with it. Harrison Smith, just
even from the get go, is there are a couple of different ways. It would have been interesting if they took the monster and tried to protect it. And realize, well, we have to feed it people. But I mean, there are other movies that do the same thing. But
or we see a split in the group. As one
dissension in the ranks.
As dissension in the ranks. As one begins to take things too far, the other one, because you could say that one of them, if you set it up as Ayla's character was really, really dark, but that darkness she kind of kept under wraps. But then all of a sudden they have this monster and they start doing this, and she starts taking it to the next level. And then some of the boys, because they're attracted to her, one of them is her boyfriend, they're following along. So one becomes the muscle, and one becomes kind of like the weak submissive that just wants to be a part of the group. But then the other one's kind of then you get a civil war between the two of them. And then the monster's caught in the middle, and then the shit fucking hits the fan. And then, then you could, whatever parents or authority figures get involved, or the police get involved. That could have been fascinating, all against the backdrop of this closed down horror theme park. That sounds great. I want to make that movie.
Because that sounds, and even you can still do the thing of the views where somebody's like, oh, well, we got to do the views with this. No, we don't need to record it. And that can be, and ultimately, I think having something with the authorities gets kind of like an overhang where it's this kind of this threat that's constantly things that they have to work around. Because when you have this complete disregard at all for law enforcement's authority. I realize there's movies out there that the cops are stupid, but at least the cops show up. You just happen to get bad cops, and it happens.
Yeah.
But where it's just we'll lure people by calling them on their cell phone. Who doesn't know cops? Yeah.
Yeah. Extra J, good to see you. It says, act it on in here. Put some pepper on it. Yes, Extra J, thank you very much. Casey Cooper says jail sure has a lot of shit hitting fans tonight. I do. I a lot of shit hitting fans. I wish I could have said, and where the scary things are, that shit eventually gets real, but it actually doesn't, which is just a damn shame. Blood Hunt, shit never really got real in that one. Shit just got dumb. It just got dumber and dumber and dumber. It was all dumb downhill. It was dumb all the way down. Same with, scary things are, but scary, that would piss me off more than Blood. Blood Hunt just frustrated the shit out of me because it's just, you dumb person. Why are you so dumb? Why are you so dumb in this situation? Why? And then, of course,
I just can't stand dumb characters, or the majority of the characters are dumb because it's lazy.
It's lazy.
It is. It's lazy writing because we need a character to get killed by the monster. Well, it's so much easier to write a dumb character to get killed by a monster than it is to write a smart character being killed by the monster, because then if a smart character makes a dumb mistake, then a lot of times it feels out of character, feels out of place, or something like that. But we enjoy the smart characters.
Right.
I like watching a horror film.
Like the Black Phone. Set these things apart from each other. That's why that movie is amazing, because the characters are smart. They're not like geniuses, like they're smarter than they should be. They're smart though. They think. They at least stop and think about what they're doing.
Try to think. Hey, don't go up the stairs because he's going to wait for you. And you're like, yeah, that makes complete sense. When you write a smart character can make a mistake. Fine, whatever. But when you write a smart character, I like to watch a horror movie and go, that's what I would do. When the character's doing, that's what I do. And then when the character gets smoked, I'm like, oh, I didn't see that coming. That gets a more reaction than no, I'm not going to run up to the monster that has a single band around there. And then you have a guy with a gun who's clearly untrained with a gun.
Untrained. I kept expecting to shoot his own dick off. I really did. I was like, what are you? Just beyond stupid. But sorry. Operation Free World, good to see you. Says, whoa, jail, slow down. My typing fingers can't keep up. That's awesome. Sarcasm says it worked for Tucker and Dale. Tucker and Dale were dumb in a good way, and they were lucky. And plus, they're just too naive and sweet to let anything bad happen.
And that's the difference. The difference between Tucker and Dale is that they're naive. Naivety
they're naive.
and stupidity are two different things.
And plus, when Dale is always like, "You want a killer hillbilly? I'll give you a killer hillbilly," And so when he's just like, "Okay, let's do it," so because he's like, be what you are, because the whole notion of that was identity, was accepting who you are, and Dale's, Tucker and Dale are hillbillies. So it's fine. You want a killer hillbilly? I won't give you a killer hillbilly. And then that's when that movie is fucking amazing. Because the whole movie, he's trying to be something that he feels like he's trying to be something he's not, or he feels like he needs to be something he's not because he feels the world doesn't accept him, which is the whole theme of the film, which is and of course, college kids, killing themselves all over the property. We've had us a doozy of a day.
Doozy of a day.
God damn, I love that fucking movie. So, but given this one, dumb. But I will. But one thing I dig is I've always enjoyed the idea of the captive monster. Okay, because the captive monster in horror films is very much like the ticking time bomb. Okay, it's the clock winding down to when, as Eugene likes to say,
shit gets real.
Exactly. That's why I like captive monsters, because the question is not only is when the monster is captive, what's going to set it free? Why will it be set loose? What's going to happen when it gets loose? And it's going to happen eventually. The question is just a matter of when and how bad it's going to be when it does. So the captive monster always gets me. And it's a trope that goes all the way back to Universal Studios, to like the early days, where the monster is caged and then the monster comes out. So my question for the audience tonight is, given what this movie, where the scary things are tried to be and failed miserably, what is your favorite captive monster movie? Where the monster is in chains, or the monster is trapped, or the monster has been captured, but it's gonna get out. It's eventually gonna happen, because as our characters, as our human characters, wind up tearing each other apart, because people are the real monsters. That our monster's gonna get out. What is your favorite captive monster horror? Let us know down in the comments below, or weekinhorror@gmail.com. I'd like to hear those thoughts. Definitely let us know. We may get some solid recommendations for films that we may not have heard before, so definitely check those out. Like Robo Bigfoot. So Rodent, we're gonna talk. I promise you. We're going to do the man. We're gonna chat. I promise you. Things have been rather insane as of late, but I promise you. Dude, 28 days later, the zombies trapped on the island. Will they get it? I like that. Shape of Water. Shape of Water is a good one. Yeah, Andromeda Strain. Like that, definitely. Mm-hmm. There's some good ones out there. Ooh, Nightbreed.
Nightbreed, okay.
Fucking yes. We still need a goddamn director's cut of that. Clive Barker. Clive, give us a director's cut. Give us your true vision. Okay? So, yeah, definitely let us know. Oh, Black Mass. Yeah.
We got Black Mass. And I will throw one out there. King Kong.
Oh, yeah. Classic.
Yeah.
I love it. Ooh, Sputnik. Sputnik's a good one.
Sputnik, Resident Evil.
Yeah. So many good ones. The Item. So many good stuff. Yeah. So many good ones. And let us know down in the comments below, weekinhorror@gmail.com. All right. Well, it is that time, and it's everybody's favorite time. It's what time? Go ahead. Sorry, I fucked it up.
Oh, it's trivia time.
That's right. It is trivia time. It's everybody's favorite time here on Week in Horror when we close out the show with our trivia question. So be the first one to get the correct answer to tonight's trivia question down in the live chat. You will win a special mystery item from the Week in Horror store. And by the way, for your current winners, I got a notification from fucking Teespring that things are delayed right now. They didn't tell me why they were delayed, but there's something going on with shipping. And so I will let people know, when I get word of that. I'm really kind of annoyed. I should have switched something else, but fucking hell. But nonetheless, you will get yours. Your stuff is on the way. But be the first person with the correct answer to this trivia question in the live chat. You will win a special item. Eugene, you're here. Give them what they've been waiting for. They endured me rambling my ass off.
So The trivia question is the first person to answer in the comments section. The trivia question is, what 1973 film was the very first Australian horror film? What 1973 film was the very first Australian horror film? The first one to enter the correct answer in the comments below will win the item from Teespring. Let's see who we got. Let's see. We got not Last House on the Left. Not Long Weekend.
Dead Alive would be New Zealand because that's Peter Jackson. Oh, there it is. There it is. Angel Rivera. Angel Rivera with Night of Fear. Well done. And that's 2 weeks in a row, Angel. Well done.
Oh, congratulations.
I almost wrote Angel of Fear. But Angel Rivera, that's funny. Angel Rivera, well done. Yes, the very first Australian horror film was Night of Fear. And guess what kind of horror film it is? It's a survival horror film about a girl running away from a crazy person. So I guess the outback, I guess the Australia's just full of crazy people.
It just works.
But it just works. Congratulations, Angel Rivera says Night of Fear. Wolf Creek, now it was 2005, so a little bit later than that. Tang Whistle got it right. Night of Fear. Absolutely, Night of Fear as well. Well done. But yes, congratulations, Angel Rivera. We are going to get that printed and shipped out to you ASAP. Well done. And that, my horror fiends, will conclude this episode of the Week in Horror Podcast. I want to thank you all so much for joining us. We truly hope you enjoyed the show, and if you did, smash that like and subscribe button, and be sure to hit that bell so that you never miss a future episode. Join us next week when we look back at the Mark Hamill-led monster sequel, Watchers Reborn, the first entry in R.L. Stine's trilogy, Fear Street, Part 1, 1994, the Dutch sci-fi horror The Lift, and the Kuntz-adapted TV horror movie Black River. Be sure to check out Josh Olsen's store at badsamurai.store. He does all the awesome artwork you see splattered all over our merchandise, which you can find over at fucking Teespring. Be sure to check out, for more from Week in Horror, be sure to check out all the bloody links that are down in the description. Follow us on the socials for the daily splatter. Join our Discord for watch parties, big announcements, all kinds of horror shenanigans, and support the show through channel memberships. You can see all those cool badges and emojis we get you. Super Chats, PayPal, or even through Patreon for as little as $1 a month. For even more, if you check out those tiers, you can get early access to our front row interviews, our sit-downs with industry professionals. Check those out. What are you waiting for? Fucking join us already. As always, a huge giant thank you to each and every single one of you for being the best fucking audience a horror film podcast could possibly have. I have been your host, JL.
And I'm Eugene.
We will see you all next week, and as always, stay scared. Bye.